Well, I'm here with my with Craig Mortz and the director of Reaching Higher for Youth. Steve is filling in for Susie today. Excited, really welcome guys in today's podcast. Here, want to introduce Craig. Craig is an advocate of Reaching Higher. You've also been a mentor in Reaching Higher and a successful businessman and have some nonprofits. Craig, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself and your passion?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for allowing me to be here. I know we got to sit with Steve instead of Susie, but we'll take the good with the bad, right? Just starting on a high note, Steve. A little bit about us. We are a family-owned business that I started. My son's involved, and we've grown that business to a substantial enterprise, and we really feel that giving back is an important part of our business. I know we can talk about that a little bit later, but a little bit of a background is that I've always been involved in nonprofits. I've started 7 nonprofits, 2 national nonprofits, to the point where I've written them and drew them all up, just love people, love people.
Yeah, I love that about you, and I know that's why you're here. Let's unpack that a little bit more, because something stuck with me that you shared during COVID. You shared how you actually expanded your business, and this is a leadership podcast. So talk about that mindset a little bit, a mindset that I see as, hey, here's an obstacle, but not looking at it as a problem, but as an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. When COVID hit and you had everybody telling you what to do and what not to do and close down and close this down, and there was so much uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. We were named essential. Our company was named essential by 7 different customers, and we found an opportunity to not only continue working, but let's go out and find other organizations, other companies that are strategic and synergistic to our organization, and let's just go get them, right? So we consolidated our finances and our resources and did some of those things with our banks and our financial advisors, and then we just went and acquired companies. Yeah. And it was not easy, but it was one of those things where you had mom and pop companies that were being told to shut down, and they were sending their people home, and they didn't know what to do, and there was a lot of uncertainty. Yep. And not only did we go buy them, but we provided them certainty. We provided their employees a place to, they're like, all right, so we're getting bought, but we can go back to work, right? Yep. So I don't want to say it was easy, but it was one of those things where we weren't going to let somebody tell us what we could and couldn't do. We were going to follow the guidelines of what everybody said, and we were going to be safe and do all those things. But we took it as an opportunity to literally, instead of taking our foot off of the gas and maybe applying the brake like everybody else did, we put our foot to the floor, just went, and we saw substantial growth during that time frame.
That's amazing. And I think about our session on fear and facing fear and being able to step into that, and that's what comes to mind with that mindset that you had with your business.
Yeah, with great risk comes great reward, right? And so we can sit and be paralyzed by that fear, or we can use it to motivate us, right? And we just saw an opportunity that we went after, right? Yeah. And gosh, we grew our company, we grew our companies. We went from 1 company to 6 companies. We went from 30 employees to 70 employees, literally in 2 years, right? Like we doubled, right? In a time frame where most people were squeezing down, right? Yeah. And reducing people. Well, look at all the people that were told to stay home and not come back to work, and we're paying people to stay home, and we were doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's amazing.
So one of your employees, I had the opportunity to go to the Heartland graduation, and you were there. We were around, and I'll let Steve get into that a little bit more, but called you a visionary. And I certainly admired you for your leadership and just getting the opportunity to work together and reaching higher. Share with the audience, what would you say is the most important trait or skill to develop as a leader?
It's humbling to me to have one of my employees call me, it chokes me up just thinking about it, to call me a visionary, because I truly believe that everybody wakes up every day wanting to succeed.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that there's a person out there that wakes up in the morning and says, boy, what can I screw up today?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if you encourage that, right, like everybody wants to succeed. Yeah. It's just giving them the tools, the vision, the resources, right, to say, hey, maybe your world is been consumed with negativity, right? Mm-hmm. You get up, here's a different avenue, right? Here's a different light. Here's a different way. Here's a different mindset, right?
Yep.
And it's just about changing that mindset, right? I think all the time about seeing a homeless guy sitting on the corner, and I just want to ask him, like, what's your story? How did you get here? Did someone not give you a chance? What's mm-hmm. the deal, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you see that in the giving back and the opportunities that we take, that I believe that we take. In my dad always told me to make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your leadership towel, right?
Love that.
And so with that, that's the mindset, right? You look at an org chart, for instance. Everybody knows what an organizational chart is, right? Mm-hmm. Who sits at the top? Steve, it's not a trick
Usually
question.
the president.
Not a trick question.
The
Steve.
CEO.
So you ask everybody in any one of my companies what our org chart looks like, I sit at the bottom. It's inverted. All my employees are at the top, right? And so I sit at the bottom as a servant leader to them.
We did the same thing. Troy actually did the same thing with our organization chart, and it's the same thing, where our students, our instructors, they're at the top.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And if you have that mindset, if you truly believe it, it's one thing to draw an org chart and turn it upside down and be like, oh, yeah, this is our org chart, yeah, because we believe. But if you truly believe in it, yeah. I mean, everybody in my organization has titles on their business cards except me. Yeah. There's no title. I don't need a title.
I've had the pleasure of teaching this class with quite a few of your employees who come to mentor, and you.
Yeah.
And you do have a different relationship. I mean, it's been mostly guys, I think, that have mentored. They like love you. It's not the typical boss, underling type of relationship that I have witnessed.
Well, it's interesting because there are 3 very distinct times in my life where I have failed miserably, where I had to look at loved ones and tell them, I can't feed you. I can't pay the bills. And it's through that failure that success is born, right? And each and every time, my dad used to tell me, one of the things he used to tell me is, everybody's going to fail, right? Those who fail fastest succeed faster.
Wow.
Right? The other thing he used to tell me is, if you're going to fail, try and fail on your back so you can look up. And I always thought, why do I got to, I'm figuring I'm going to get knocked down, punched out, right? And he's like, if you can look up, you can get up. And it's that philosophy that I just carry forward, right? We're all human beings. We all are broken. Yeah. And we're going to fail. Now, how long you stay there, that's your choice, right? Mm-hmm. So the faster you fail is what leads to our successes.
Well, speaking of success, I want to ask you, you've been very successful, but you choose to do certain things with this success. And one of them is you've been a huge sponsor for Reaching Higher with your time, with your employees, mentoring, but also with money. I mean, I remember when you came into my office and said, hey, I want to give you $20,000. I never had that happen before as a principal. And just this year you said, hey, I want this to keep going at Heartland Middle School. I want to give $25,000. Why? Why do you decide to do that? Why do you decide to invest in our community in Heartland Middle School with your success?
So I was invited by Mark Hemmeyer to be a mentor for the first time, and 8 years ago. And I didn't know what I was walking into. And he said, well, you're going to be a mentor. You're a business owner. You're going to be a mentor for these 25 kids. And these kids are picked for this Reaching Higher program. And I didn't know anything about it, right? And I sat in there and I cried and I laughed with those kids. And I thought, my God, like, this program needs to happen everywhere. That's what it needs to happen, right? It's all about building better people, better humans, right? And that's our mantra at my company. That's our mantra with my organizations. We do mechanical work and we do large commercial industrial stuff and we have all these other companies, but I want to build better humans, right? And that's what I saw with Reaching Higher is like, we need to get these kids at a very pivotal age, very pivotal stage in their life where they're getting bombarded with everything and peer pressure and social media stuff. And I'm like, if you can just implore and pour into them the leadership principles that Reaching Higher does and give them an opportunity, man, wow, how can we not support something like that? And so I took that back to my company and said, I want to do this. And what spawned out of that, interestingly enough, that allowed us to do this a second time was I said to my CFO, my accountant, I said, I want 5% of all the profits put into an account, and we're going to give it away.
Is this the Mortz Moving Mountains Foundation?
Exactly. And so we created that, and that was spawned from the initial investment in Reaching Higher. And I said, I want to be able to give more, and I want to be able to give more, give to multiple organizations, and I want the blessings that we have been given. I want to be able to take 5% and give that away.
I think I know the answer to this, but I want everyone to hear it. It goes back to what you said. Everyone wants to succeed, I think.
Yeah.
But why did you choose not only monetarily, but you mentor and you also, I think you said to me once, you want all your employees to either be able to mentor or go through the adult class, somehow have this experience. Why did you decide to do that as well?
It goes back to when I was talking about the homeless guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even with my employees, not that none of them are homeless, but I wanted to make sure that whether they were given the opportunity in their life to serve or not to serve, right? Or to be impacted or not impacted, or to be, some of them don't even think they're a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to have that opportunity to see that the same way I saw it. The same way I saw it that first time, right? Where I thought I had it all together, and then I sat there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything together, right? You know, and
happens to me every class.
And so I wanted to give my employees that same feeling, right? I wanted to give my employees that same impact and give them additional tools to make them better humans.
So
right?
you're already answering, I think, the next part, which is you've given so much. What do you, as Craig Mortz, owner of these companies, what do you get out of it by having your employees and you participate in this as mentors?
Again, I've already said it. I build better humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get better.
Yeah.
I get better humans. I get better employees.
Yeah.
I get better humans. I get better people. I get better husbands. I get better wives. I get better fathers. I get better. I get better children. I get the benefit of it, right? So selfishly, right? We build better humans, and it's about pouring into people as opposed to pouring out of people, right?
Someone once told me, and I like this, you have to think about it, but the most selfish thing you can do is help someone else.
Yeah.
And I have found that to be true as well.
Yeah.
I wish everyone could see the huge heart that you have, Craig. Like when you're talking about your employees and you tear up, I mean, that's genuine. It's sincere. I think you're always looking for that opportunity, and I really admire that.
Because I know that I wouldn't be here where I'm at if it wasn't for all of them, right? Like I understand that I may be good and I may be a visionary and I may be this and I may be the leader, but I wouldn't be here without all of them. Right. We wouldn't have the substantial growth that we would have without all of them. I mean, we have very strategic goals. We have very aggressive goals. I mean, we're looking for, amongst our companies, 50% growth in the next 18 months. Like,
Wow.
I mean, right, for that to be put in place in this economy, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to do it with people, right? You just have to do it with people. And if you do it with the right people, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, I have a feeling like some of these guys that I've met would crawl over broken glass for you, you know?
Because they know that I would do the same for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key, right? And that's where you look at that org chart, right? I'm at the bottom serving them.
Yeah.
You know, there's been guys come to me when their car breaks down. We take care of it. There's been guys come to me that want to buy a house and they don't have enough money. We help them, right? We put together plans for them to do that. Like those kinds of things.
I'll be visiting you soon with my old car, believe me.
Listen, we had this little off microphone conversation about you changing a headlight, and I just it's probably not.
We
that
better move on.
Yeah,
Troy,
exactly.
Take control here.
Well, actually, I'm going to expand on that a little bit because, Steve, one of the reasons why you're here is I just admire the relationship that I've seen you two develop and have. So just talk about that a little bit more. How did you guys meet? You came in and mentored and then, foster that relationship together.
I tease. I mean, I love that guy, but I tease him a lot because I look at it as a love-hate relationship. It's one of those things.
Wow.
It's one of those things that I came and mentored and got extremely emotional. Went to the principal and he said, "I have to raise money for this program. It's an outside privately funded program."
Yep.
And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna give you the first endowment, $20,000 for the next 5 years. I want you to run 2 classes a year and and do that." And he said, "Man, I've never had anybody do that, but I'm going to retire next year." And I'm like, "What in the world?" So it's no. In all seriousness,
And before that, I had your son and your daughter both as students.
You did. And so when I say it's love-hate, I mean, that's all jokingly. I love him. This program wouldn't be in Heartland Middle School without him. It wouldn't be in Heartland schools without him. His leadership, his guidance, his humbleness, and his kindness is why it's such a success, right? And why wouldn't you jump on board with somebody that wants to steer a program like that? So for me, it was easy, right? He's hard not to like. He's speaks very candidly, speaks from the heart,
Yep.
and he really cares about people. So from that standpoint, we were equally yoked, and it was just a matter of how can I help him?
I would say you're also equally yoked where Steve is one of the few administrators who got in and taught and care about people. And I think about the upside down org chart that you just shared, and that's what he demonstrates in his role, not just with Reaching Higher, but I know as a principal, that's why you went in and taught. So I see you both as action, as coming in and mentoring and serving. And then after that, it's kind of like, what else do you need? What else can I do? So I think you're both very kindred spirits
Thank
from
you.
that regard.
I'll take that as a big compliment. And before Craig, I do. But before Craig, before you were mentoring, you were already coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed when you were mentoring? You couldn't stop talking to the kids, putting your arms, just giving them a shoulder to lean on. I mean, you weren't the shy guy in the corner who didn't know what to do. You were like, I want to be with these kids. I want to be helping these guys and girls. And I was very impressed with that. It was just hands-on,
So we all want to be loved, right? And so in that time, right?
It's one of those basic human needs, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, let me give you an opportunity, because I know even beyond Reaching Higher, in fact, I'm not sure if we met, but I knew about you because of one of the other foundations or organizations that you, I think, created this one.
Yeah.
So I already knew some of this about you, but you're so generous, you're so giving. We've spent a lot of time on Reaching Higher. Tell us about some of the other things you do, maybe through Mortz Moving Mountains Foundation, but I also know you've been very passionate about the one you do to help disabled kids be able to hunt. So
Exactly.
tell us a little bit about these
So,
other things.
Yeah. over my career, I've started 7 nonprofits, 2 of them nationally. One of them that's national is the Kicking Bear Foundation, and that is with world-renowned archer Ray Howell. And he runs around and he does these outdoor camps with disadvantaged youth. And he introduces them to the world of archery, and then he talks to them about, having a heavenly Father. And it's a overnight camp out with a giant bonfire. And I wrote, strangely enough, I met Ray at the North Pole. And we were
Not surprised
we
for
were
some reason.
42 below zero, and we're sleeping in an igloo. And he tells me about this vision on he had hunted all over the world with a bow, and I had hunted all over the world with a bow, and here we are at the North Pole with bow and arrow. And we were hunting Arctic muskox, and he said, I wanna start these kids camps where we take disadvantaged youth, kids from broken homes. And he was a kid that came through a foster care system, and he wanted to start this program. And so I wrote the nonprofit for it. And Ray, oh man, what a saint! He's in 21 states now, and he reaches literally tens of thousands of kids every year, and introduces them to the sport of archery, and introduces them to the fact that they have a heavenly Father, and it's just incredible. He's been doing it now 20 years, and I met him at the North Pole in 2001, something like that.
Does he have a long white beard?
No,
Kinda.
no, we didn't take the reindeer. We didn't do nothing like that, Steve. And so then in 2000, Make-A-Wish quit granting hunting and fishing wishes to children, and because of PC culture, and I have a background in journalism, and so I started a letter writing campaign and writing senators and congressmen and things of that nature. And then I decided, instead of me hunting all over the world, maybe I would take some of these kids. And so I had some doctors and some social workers in the Metro Detroit area. And I reached out and I got 4 kids, and I took them up to a deer ranch, and I paid for everything myself. And then from there I started the Foundation for Hope organization, and that is a national charity that I partnered with my best friend, Tony Semple, who played for the Detroit Lions for 10 years. He was an offensive lineman in front of Barry Sanders. And we put the National Football League Players Association behind it. And, we have our own 800-acre deer ranch up in Gaylord, and we do 20 to 40 kids a year. We've been St. Louis with the Rams. We've been Brett and Deanna Favre sponsor every kid that comes out of Wisconsin. We do camps in PA with the Steelers. We've been to Miami with the Dolphins. We've been all over the country, right? And so all of this couldn't have happened from just one guy, right? So there's inspiration, and I know that there's a Heavenly Father that has his hand over what I got going on. And to see those kids in that environment, the shooting of the deer is minuscule, right? It's about putting 4 or 5 of these kids that have terminal illnesses or been diagnosed with life-challenging, horrific accidents, right? And basically telling them there are no obstacles, right? Just because you're in that chair doesn't mean that you can't do this.
Yeah,
right?
well, you invented some things that
We
got
did.
rid of those obstacles.
We did, yeah.
I was smiling because I won't name the student, but I was picturing the face of one of my students that was able to go, and Rob Jellison, teacher, gave him some time to go. And I remember seeing the picture, and it was just pure, unadulterated joy, so anyway.
Because we take these kids and all we do is love on them, right? We take them, we love on them, we love on their parents, and, the parents, like any of us, right? Your kid's been diagnosed with a terrible disease, and you spend every waking moment on how to fix it, every dollar and on how to fix it, right? And the last thing you think about is, hey, let's go on a vacation or let's go on a deer hunt, right? And nobody thinks about that, but it's taking them out into the outdoors, and that rejuvenation of spirit in the outdoors, that's so important, and I learned that early on, right?
Maybe a weekend of not focusing on your disability or what you can't do or whatever.
Or putting them with 4 other kids with
Yeah.
similar disabilities.
Yeah.
Now you're no longer disabled,
Yeah.
right? Like, and even if they feel that way, don't treat them that way. Take them out and wrestle with them, ground with them, right? Play with them. Just things that people don't normally do, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig, I think about you give hope.
Yeah.
You're a hope giver,
a good way to
is
put
what
it.
you are. And I see that fits perfectly. I can understand why you flipped the org chart upside down. And kind of going back to COVID, I'm going to go back to that a little bit, but Reaching Higher was at a point where it was dead.
Yeah.
Susie shared that, and you were one of the businessmen
Yeah.
that was there when Susie brought, and Steve and I joined the strategic team, and we started asking some powerful questions too, with what if and why not? Why not do a virtual class? And then you, along with Mark Haymeyer with Kennedy, it's kind of like, listen, I see my people, my employees that mentor be positively, why not do an adult class?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
send all that in there. So now you've had some folks go through that, some of your team. Talk to that as far as what you've seen out of them. Why would an organization, why should they have their team members take the adult class, which is virtual, they can take that anywhere?
Yeah, well, and I alluded to it earlier. It's about building better humans, right? And
Yeah.
and selfishly, if I can make better humans, they make better employees, right? And if I pour into them, right, I don't have employees that leave, right? It's funny because everybody says, well, how do you find labor and how do you find people? I have a stack of resumes on my desk, right? Like I don't have any problems with that because we pour into employees, and the employees go tell their brothers and their sisters and their brother-in-laws, and you got to work for this company, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that, and we even think outside the box. One of the things that I got you guys involved in was Grace Centers of Hope, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I had been volunteering at Grace Centers of Hope for years, and my wife had been volunteering there, and the demographics of the men's group there, and I said, where'd all these men go? Right? And they said, well, 80% of them are skilled trades workers or pipe fitters and plumbers and electricians and carpenters. And I said, well, those are the people I need. And they said, well, but, they're in a recovery program. So, right, everybody needs a chance. Everybody's got to give an opportunity, right? We're going to follow your program, send them to me as an internship.
Yep.
And it's worked out phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
We get people from them all the time, and you've seen them. You've seen mentors come through.
Yeah.
I got Reaching Higher over there now into their recovery
Yes.
program. So, yeah, it's just incredible how things can spread with just good intentions, right?
With a mantra of building better humans.
That's
right?
it, right.
And to do that, what I love about that is you serve. And again, just that theme of giving people hope.
Yeah.
Whether it be kids that you don't know or whether it be giving them an opportunity of work.
Yeah, I have an employee right now that came to us 3 years ago through Grace, and twice a week he'll send me a text and he'll just say, hey, boss, thanks for taking a chance on me.
Yeah.
Right? He's been with me 3 years. Great employee, loyal, love him, would do anything for him, helped him buy his first car, all the things that, we get the opportunity to do when we're 16, 17, 18 years old. He's 28, right? And has made some poor choices, but nobody's there to help, right? And so if you can do that, like, my God, yeah,
Correct.
it's incredible.
I love seeing the tears. In Reaching Higher, we say it's a sign of strength to be vulnerable, and I really believe that. And I think people need to understand. And
I came in here and said I'm not going to cry.
I think, you know what? But there's nothing more emotional than knowing that you were part of changing someone's life.
That's right.
For the better.
And that goes both ways, right?
Yeah, that goes back to what I said. It's selfish. It's so great to be helping somebody, but I'm going to wrap this up in a bit with this question, and we've answered a lot of this, but you're involved in so many things, and when I said it, the graduation of Heartland Middle School, I said what I love about Reaching Higher, one of the things I love, it seems to bring everyone together. You got the kids, the school, the parents. Now you have a foundation, a community foundation, a business. You have business people and workers as mentors. You have this nonprofit. You have all this coming together for kids, and in this day and age, you don't always see everyone coming together.
That's right.
I don't, there's so much divisiveness, and we could argue about so many different things, and seems like one thing everyone agrees on is we want to help our kids, So I just wanted you to comment on that, and I know because you have a big part of that coming together. Do you see the same thing that I'm seeing?
I think that if we just love each other, we can come together, right? Love is not black and white. It's not red and yellow. If we just love one another, that's all there is to it, right? And I truly, like I said earlier, I think that everybody gets up every day and wants to be successful.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with you.
And so if everybody gets up, if you know that, right, or you feel that way, now there may be 1 out of 100 that doesn't, right? But if you know that out of people, then what do you got to do to foster that in people, right? What do you got to do to lead that in people? And if you recognize that and build that, right, then it's easy, right? Give them an opportunity, right? When we talk about our children, I raised 2. I have a stepson. I'm not perfect, right? We make mistakes. And if you can teach our children differently, right, that you're going to make mistakes, that you're going to fail, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
You're going to make bad choices. It's okay, right? Like you got to. I'm not saying that there's not accountability, but you have and responsibility, but it'll be okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understand that we're all the same. Like the CEO of Ford Motor Company and the CEO of CSM Mechanical, right? We're both broken. That's it, right? What we do with that and how we channel that and where we go from there, is what makes us leaders, what makes us the people that we are, right? Some choose not to do anything with it, and some choose to take it to the next level, right?
Yeah, you said something. You said love one another, and you said it's easy, and it reminded me something Troy says a lot. Simple isn't always easy, but simple can also be so powerful. I mean, when you said that, I was thinking of faith for one thing, love one another.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's hard, and it is simple, and it's so powerful to live with that philosophy.
Yeah,
isn't
because
it?
we all get caught up in our day-to-day,
Yeah.
right? We all get caught up and you get bombarded from every angle with the negativity, right?
Yep.
Right.
And so you just have to, you have to figure out coping strategies to set that stuff aside. It's going to happen. It's going to happen every day. It's going to happen to everyone. What's your coping strategy? You just set that aside, right? Just set it aside and focus on what's positive in your life, right? Where are you going? What do you want to do? What's your passion? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Ask your employees those questions and see what that feedback is, right? And they're like, I don't know. Ask my employees what they say, what that feedback is, right? I want my employees, that's what I want them to engage in. I want you to think about your future. I want you to know that there's vertical development. I want you to know, right, how to care for people. Maybe you were never taught how to care for people.
Yep.
I send them to Reaching Higher, and they come back, and they're like, my God,
You think
I
you
get how I
would
can care for people.
Do you think you'd have the same mindset if you hadn't failed? You said you failed miserably,
Yeah, 3 times.
and I think all of us have, but you're pretty candid about saying that. And do you think you'd have the same mindset if you hadn't failed? Because that's one thing we teach in Reaching Higher, that failure is not only, it's the important for success.
The biggest thing I had to get over was my pride.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
The biggest thing I had to get over was my pride, and once I achieved that, right? Pride is the burden of a foolish person, right? And so once I got over that pride, it
I relate to that so much.
It becomes easy,
Yeah.
right? So everybody that you see, everybody that you talk to, everybody that's going through turmoil, they get stuck. You dig your heels in because you're proud, right? We're told as little kids, be proud, do your best, be proud, right? When you learn to get over your pride and realize that I'm broken, you're broken, I've failed, I am here where I'm at because I failed. And recognize that I'm here with the mindset that I have because I failed.
Right.
I wouldn't be here
That's
if I
right.
was born with a silver spoon, lived in the Greek islands, I mean, right?
That's what I was-
I wouldn't have that mindset, right? And so once I was able to get over my personal pride, and recognize that everybody's broken and that we all have failures. Some are worse than others. Some failures you don't come back from, right? God forbid. But once you recognize that's the case and you set that aside, I don't have anything to hide.
Yeah.
Craig, you connected a couple things. First, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
From a business leader in our community and just pouring back. But you said a couple things that I really just want to reiterate for our listeners today.
Yeah.
And it's in regards to leadership. And it's not just serving, but it's serving with care.
Yeah.
You demonstrated that today by the tears that
Yeah.
actually came down just talking about
Yeah.
your people, your work family, basically, as a result of that. And then I think about the power that you said, yes, when we have that failure, but then we have a choice, right? And you also mentioned the word choice within that. And
Yeah.
that is why we're so aligned as far as reaching higher and even as a business, is because we believe passionately about those things. And if we care and people are seeing,
Yeah.
and we give them and make them aware that there's a choice within all of that,
Yeah.
it's so powerful.
Absolutely. Think about the first time your parents told you you're going to fail. When was that? Not until your late teens, maybe, if ever,
Yeah.
right? My parents never told me I was going to fail. I failed miserably three
That's why I
times,
was
right?
trying to think if they ever said that to me, and I couldn't remember
Exactly.
one.
So what if you went to these kids and said, hey, you're going to fail and it's going to be okay.
That's right.
It's going to be okay. Then failure they wouldn't contemplate drugs and suicide and all the negative things that, right? Oh my God, I'm a failure. Oh my God, I dress different. Oh my God, I look different. Oh my God, I got an E on my test. I can't show
Right.
anybody, right? Like, oh my God, I'm an outcast. It's all right, man.
And then in reaching high, you learn that every successful person has gone
Exactly.
through this
Exactly.
more times than you've even tried, probably.
100%.
That's-
100%.
That's the path, is
Yeah.
failure.
Yeah. Well, that's how we succeed, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think about that. I think about my own children. I never told them you're going to fail. You know when I told them they're going to fail? When they went to college, 19 years old. You're going to fail because your dad failed, right? But it'll be okay. You'll rebound.
Yeah.
My daughter crushed it in 3.5. My son took 5. It's okay. They're
have a-
great. They're great humans, right?
I have a quote that I use.
They have a passion for philanthropy,
Sorry.
and they have a passion for the people that we do. Both of them have been mentors in reaching higher. Logan's taken the adult class, right? Winter's a mentor now. So yeah, I mean, nobody ever tells us that when we're little.
Yeah, and I'm so much relating to what you're saying, and but when you're a young parent too, every little failure seems like the end of the world, and then
100%.
you reach a certain point and you realize none of these,
Yeah.
every single time, this is the quote I was saying I use in class, every single time your mind has told you you can't get through this, it's been wrong.
Yeah.
Because here you are.
Exactly.
You've been through every hard thing in your whole life, and here you are.
Yep.
And
And so if you tell somebody, we all have those quotes. What was it? Henry Ford that says, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't.
You're right.
You're right, right? But if you told a young person that said, hey, listen, you're going to fail, but believe you can, right? Mm-hmm. Don't believe you can't just because of one failure. You're going to fail, right? It's okay. Believe you can. And that's what reaching higher does, right? And that's what's so powerful to me, right? Yeah. And it's at such the age where they're getting bombarded with everything. Yeah. That's what they need to hear.
I agree with you, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
you.
And I'm, as long as I can take a breath on this earth, I'm all in. So you guys are stuck with me.
Well,
I'm glad about that.
it's great being stuck with you, and
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way to close today's podcast just by the importance of failure
Yeah.
and failing forward. And,
Knowing it's okay. And
absolutely.
fail fastest, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Steve, for
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you,
here.
Craig, so much. I've learned more about you in this podcast, honestly, and I already knew a lot, but
Yeah.
I really appreciate you more than you probably even know. And you giving not your money and your time, but like your whole heart
Your heart.
to helping others. It's just something I admire a lot, and I just want to thank you.
Yeah, we just
Yes.
build better humans. That's it.
Thank you for partnering with us and doing that.
You guys are awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.